let us move into our member segment, mechanics and game experiences we'd like to see more of. Jesse, how do you want to break this down?
Well, let's see. I want to read this little thing I was looking at today. According to a study published by Report Linker in 2019, the global board game market is expected to reach a value of more than 12 billion by 2023, which see a growth rate of 9% from 2017.
Does it say that like 30% of that is just me buying those?
Oh man, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I better hope
So
I never leave the
there's
hobby. I will sink this ship.
Oh, it's here to stay. And I don't know. I think the pandemic hurt in a lot of ways, but I don't know. I feel like it's also maybe helped
I
in
don't know.
other
Yeah,
ways.
I think it totally. I think it's helped some and hurt some. It's probably hurt more than it's helped for most designers and publishers. But there are definitely some people who have probably seen a bump. But I would imagine they're not the majority.
Well, so like we were trying to figure out like what the features should be, and um, I I thought maybe we should just talk about the mechanics that we like, the aspects of gaming that we like, and we'd like to see more of in the future, or maybe we haven't seen this yet, but what would we like to see the future of board gaming look like? Um, and since we were just talking about this, I would like to see more mid-core two-player games that play in 30 to 60
What do you mean by
minutes.
mid core? Do you mean like midweight?
When I say mid-core, I mean not casual, which I think Patchwork is casual, and is not hardcore. This is it's a video gaming term,
Oh, I see. Oh, I
mid-core.
see. Mid core, like hardcore, right? Okay. Like I think we're more used to like middleweight or medium weight, lightweight. Yeah,
Sure.
gotcha.
Um, but like I think that these are important, well, especially during a pandemic, these two-player games. But I also think that like these, I want to see more of these games. I want to see more of them that are like elegantly designed but have deep strategy, like this Curious Cargo, like Watergate. I want to see more, Lord of the Rings Confrontation. I was like, why don't we have more games like this? Um, I think that they're important. I Because I think they're good for the couples like me and Alex and some of my other friends who are like trying, other couples, and they're trying to find cool games to play, and they keep asking me for more recommendations, and I keep wanting to give them more, and I just don't have any, like for this kind of thing. And I can go, I guess there's what is it, the Seven Wonders Duel, I guess, and there's Code Names Duet or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's fine, but I want more of this kind of stuff. And it helps people bridge. Like I'm thinking about a couple, like a friends of mine in general, who, in particular, who are getting more into games, and this is helping them see other like this type of stuff, and they're getting into more hard game games. I feel like this is one of those bridge games, like other than Catan, kind of thing. These
Yeah,
types of games.
yeah,
So I think they're important.
yeah. Absolutely, I agree. And those are the make or break games in our hobby. And Wingspan is obviously like the biggest of that of the last few years. That I think has brought in a whole new world of gamers to our hobby, and that's only good. I'm going to start a little bigger and then get a little more specific. This my first one's going to be a little more general, as just like when I first think of like game experiences I want more of. And it came about perfectly this week because there was a fantastic video from our friends at No Pun Included called Colonialism, the Board Game Struggle. And Efka of No Pun Included put out a fantastic video, not about a game called Colonialism, but about the subject of colonialism in games. And beyond just the etymology of it and how we got here and what it means to our hobby and how prevalent it is in our hobby, he made it very personal, talking about his past as an immigrant and the country that he came from originally, and the history there and how it and its relationship to colonialism, and just sort of looking at how this theme and this mechanic, the mechanic of aggression and conquering, and how we can be more aware of what that means about us as gamers, what that means to people from different backgrounds as us, and being more conscious of the types of settings that we are playing games in. This isn't saying that any game that has conquering means bad, but I think any game that has conquering in it that isn't aware of its roots in colonialism and isn't in some way facing them or acknowledging them might be lacking going forward in the future and might need might be behind the times a bit in what we
And
want from our board
how,
game content.
how do you acknowledge that? Because I feel like that was something that came up with Ananda Gupta with Imperial Struggle, and I look, I'm really torn on this subject because I'm obviously sensitive to. I think it's valid as somebody is looking out. It seems like we're playing a game about with like the history of his life when he was, it's horrible. But I'm thinking, okay, so what do we actually do here about that?
Well,
And I can see about being sensitive about when you're designing a game how you present that. But like if we actually just you could say, oh, well, what's that? The yellow, the Nizia game, Yellow
Yellow and
Xangxi.
Yangtze. Yellow and Yangtze.
Like, I mean, well, that's not the best example. But there's a lot of them are just about like conquering something and different races and it's you could probably
Yeah,
eliminate so many things.
I mean, 4Xs are all, basically games about colonialism in space. Just by making it sci-fi doesn't necessarily change. It's more about talking about it and opening a conversation. Why do we enjoy these experiences? What is this? What in our humanity is this exciting? What part of us?
Yeah.
Everything from historical liner notes that really show you the entire thing, not just the history being told by the winners, how it affected everybody, but also just in the actual design of it, not always putting yourself in the seat of the colonials. In the people of the colonizers, I mean, not always being the aggressors, showing the ramifications of that, gamifying that as well in a respectful and educational way. Efka said it a lot better than I'm trying to, but I really recommend that you watch the video. It doesn't deal with any specific games, although it deals with a lot of games that we all play. It's a great way to start a conversation, somebody to think about it. So one thing he talks about is being excited for post-colonial games and games that take place outside of the sphere of colonialism. And just as somebody who loves games, I'm always excited about new and exciting themes and point of views. And especially I'm excited for games like that are coming from POC perspectives and non-Western history-based perspectives and not straight cis white perspectives. And nobody loses by that. Nobody is losing anything by only adding new voices and perspectives in. And so when I think about the future of our hobby, that is the first thing I think of. Like, I'm so excited to see what non-cis white males have to add. And that doesn't mean I don't want more games from non-cis white males. It just means I want more voices.
Yeah, agreed. And I think of Wingspan when I think of like I feel like it's a good example of successful game that was a new theme. We hadn't thought of doing that as a theme, and I like that. So more things like that. How about that?
Yeah,
not more games, but
and beyond that, more people of color at my gaming table, more women at my gaming table, and by my gaming table I mean my conventions, and even saying my feels weird. Just more inclusiveness in general at all of our gaming things. And that's on me. That's not on people of color to solve. That's not on women to solve. That is on me to be welcoming and to make sure that those people feel safe and accepted, and that I go out of my way to make those people want to play games with me and to feel, happy playing games at those locations and at my, even at my game nights.
Yeah.
So
are there any game mechanics that you would like to see in the future embraced more, or is there a mechanic
that So I started big, and like I said, I'm gonna get some
right. So you have a whole
list. I was gonna throw it back to you now. We can ping pong this.
Yeah, we could. Okay. I was thinking about this. Started with the proposition. Are there any mechanics you like in particular that you'd like to see in the future? And the first thing that comes to mind is I keep talking about Watergate, but like I like the double function cards, the value and event. I hate like a wasted card,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of
Carl
like
Chudik's the king of that, right? I mean, Race for the Galaxy. I mean, not Race for the Galaxy. Glory to Rome and Red Seven.
yeah,
So many innovation. It's all about where the cards are doing a dozen things.
yeah. Twilight Struggle, of course, and
Yeah.
Imperial Struggle, and but I don't know. I like that. I like I like micro turns. I'm liking that, like that idea. I want to keep the players engaged. I hate long turns. Like if
Yeah.
it's not your turn, it,
I'm gonna have to call you out a little bit here, Jesse, because you are the king of long turns, and I don't say that in a negative sense. You are the analytical gamer, my friend, but
uh,
you are a victim of AP.
yeah, but I am, and I've tried to just in general just not overthink things. But by the way, this especially happens. You guys are playing games multiple times, and then
It's
I'll
true,
be
for
introduced
sure.
to it.
But
So
it's
I'm
also
learning it for the
your
first
nature.
time.
Like you that's the part you enjoy is like really doing it right. Like if you're like, I'm gonna do it at all, I want to do it right. And like I respect that. It's not, it's just, it
But yeah, you're right. But what I'm saying is those micro turns help. It keeps the game moving faster. It's like it's not like I want to make significant moves. Like I want to do something meaningful, but I would like to be able to think about another's terms, another people's turns, and then when it gets to me, I don't have. Look, how about a narrow scope of like a lower action space? You can't just do everything in the world,
right.
like. But you know, um,
I think
I
you'd
just
like Praga Capnet Reckoning, which you haven't played yet, I don't think. But I think you'd really enjoy that as somebody who likes micro turns.
okay. But that sort of like unbroken player engagement, like
Right.
it just keep
Yeah.
people attention. That is not boring. It's like, look, I don't even care sometimes. Like when people's turns take long, if I'm engaged and I got things I can be thinking about,
Yeah.
and
Have
that,
you have you played Haunted Teutonica yet, Jesse?
I'm gonna look
I
it up.
gotta teach it to you. You would freaking love Haunted Teutonica. It's like the ultimate micro turn game, and I gotta teach it to you. You're gonna flip out for Haunted Teutonica.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Classic. It's a classic, but there's a big box that came out recently. You would flip out for this game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do like that game. Um, um, Here's a couple other things. Multiple dynamic ways to win. Like,
Yes.
uh,
Curious
is it?
Cargo.
Yeah, it's funny because you said, "Hey, if he made a game that just ended with just going for the pipes, that would be a great game, right?" And I get your
I don't
point.
know, a great game, but it would be a game.
It would be a game. Yes, yes. But I do like the idea that you can, in different dynamics, and find different ways to win, and um, and on top of that, that the victory conditions, if they could be more in theme, and they're not just like victory
Ooh,
points.
love
Can
that.
we get rid of victory points? I
Well,
understand there's a
there was a whole video about that we talked about last year about like somebody who said, basically if your game has victory points, it's a failure. But yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, back to you.
Back to me. All right, this is a fun one. I'm excited about this. I want more games that make me feel emotions. There's a handful of games that we've talked about recently, and only one of these we've reviewed. I'd like to review the others, but we've reviewed The Cost this year, which was all about the asbestos industry.
Mm.
There's a game called Meltwater that is a fantastic game from Holland Spiel that is all about the horrors of conquering people. There's a game called This Guilty Land, also from Holland Spiel, about the politics of slavery in America. And these are games, but they are also experiences, and they are also designed to educate and also to make you feel something, to actually make you feel an emotion beyond winning or losing or brain burnery or frustration, but make you to take you places to really make these experiences things that that extend outside of just what's happening in front of the board, but it exists in an emotional space that maybe stays with you once the game is over. I would really like
Yeah.
to see a lot more of that.
Like,
And
honestly, this is
I
yeah.
don't even know what that really means, but I know I know it's something I'm thirsting for.
Kingdom Death Monster was, I feel, was emotional for me.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's there's also a lot of like really messed up weird stuff in there, but like it does make you feel some crazy stuff about, communities and life and death, and yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff there too.
Yeah. I mean, probably my number one thing is immersion.
Yeah.
Is is finding ways to make and I talked about this before, but particularly making the actions that you do within the game are further making you feel like you're in the theme of the game, which is hard to do. It's hard to find good examples of that. But when it's done and you really feel like you're the mafia boss because you got to eliminate somebody, I don't know, whatever it is, it's so gratifying. I don't know, it's great.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Back to you.
I just did one.
You just did one. Back
I
to
don't know if
me.
I.
I want Euro tournament support. Hear me out. I love the experience of competitive face to face tournament gaming. I loved it with Netrunner. I loved it with Game of Thrones. It seems to only exist in these collectible or living card games. I want it in my Euros. Now, you say there are too many Euros. How are we going to decide which ones we're all going to choose? Well, a little bit of the work's done for you. There's games like Agricola that are played at the tournament level. I want more of those. I feel like every year, one great game should be chosen and like added to the board game Olympics. Like there should be like, Agricola should be a category in the board game Olympics. And like, maybe that's your sport. You're an Olympic Agricola player. Or like, whoa, did you hear they added Barrage to the board game Olympics this year? Like, wow, it totally deserved it. That's so cool. And like, I would just love like to pick a game, get super into it, and if I wanted to take it to the next level where it's like if I show up at a con, there's going to be a high level tournament for it. And I know at Gen Con and a lot of them there are for a lot of these games, but if it was more of like, I don't know, I guess if it was more sporty, if it was more like
Esports.
yeah, like if you
Yeah.
esported our Euros a little bit more, I would. It's just the idea of like this weekly game night that I go to where we play this game every once in a while. But there's one game that I'm like training at. Like I dig that vibe. Like I like
Yeah.
like I'm doing reps. Like anybody want to come over? Like we're gonna do a 3-day marathon on this. Got to try some new strategies. Got to prep for the next tournament. Like that stuff's fun. Like I just dig that.
Yeah.
That's a
This
part
is
of my
like
life I don't get to enjoy, that competitive, taking it super seriously thing. And I definitely don't have time for it. But like one day I might again, and that would just be so fun. I just love that.
yeah. This is like Lumen every day for Agricola.
I know, 100%. It would just be fun if there was like, we had a whole stable of games that were like that, that were just like the
Totally.
agreed upon competitive games. But that's probably the
Mhm.
nightmare problem, is that we all agree on different games. But
Yeah.
you never know. Back to you.
I I'd like to see, especially for heavy campaign games, um, like Gloomhaven. And I like that Gloomhaven did this for Jaws of the Lion. The tutorialized, like this first
Mhm.
few scenarios teach you the game. So
Yeah.
the here's a rule book, but play the game. Imperial Struggle did that too. Like let's teach you by playing it. Um, it was actually a little harder with Imperial Struggle. I'm not sure that they were as successful with
Mhm.
teaching how the game played.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on, and like they didn't want to teach you everything, and so I was like, I don't understand the context. I don't know where to file this in my head.
Mhm.
But with Gloomhaven it worked because, and I say Gloomhaven, and I don't mean Gloomhaven the original, um, because that was a bit of a mess. It was hard. It was hard to understand. But usually, the good thing about it was only one person really needed to know the rules. The other people just need to know the dynamics of how to play. But Jaws of the Lion responded to people's complaints about all that, and then they made this tutorialized version, which brings me to I would like to see more. I feel like every designer should or publisher put out their hey, you can scan this QR code and you can see the rules. Here's how to play in like 15 minutes. Uh, just
Yeah.
more of that, which Gloomhaven did, except it was
Mhm.
2 videos that were like an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, that's the problem is that a lot of these games can't really be taught in 15 minutes. But, you get people like Rodney Smith, Watch It Played, who do some pretty great, I think as fast as you could do, rules teaches a lot of these games. But it's hard to get everyone at your game group to, put aside an hour of their day and watch a video before they show up.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of our issues. I know there's people who's tried to solve that with apps and with, with like, I forget the name of it, but there's a specified app that, is supposed to, you can pull it up on your phone at any time and it'll teach everyone in your group hits play at the same time and it'll teach you how to play it. I don't know. But, there's definitely a problem that needs to be solved and I'm sure someone will crack it at some point.
And Matt, I actually wrote something down here. I was like, let me guess what Matt would put down.
Oh.
And I put more solo games.
Well, that's funny that you said that. One of the things I did literally write down in here. In fact, I think did I erase it by accident a second ago?
And yes, you did send me the document before this started, but I was sitting at the beach and I go, more solo games. And then I open up your doc and I was like, let me see if he wrote down what he wanted to talk about. He did put more solo games on number one. Maybe not the most important, but it was the first thing you thought of.
Yeah, and not the order I read them in. But but not just more solo games, more solo only campaign games. Now, I really enjoyed Under Falling Skies, which came out this year, which is a solo only campaign game. The things that made it work for me were small table presence, easy to set up, plays fast, and has a good narrative arc. This is the first game that I kind of saw did that. And like, I'm not going to say it's my game of the year. Like it at its essence was Space Invaders, the Euro puzzle dice roller. But it showed me that there is a market for it because I think it's been wildly successful, but also like that's a total, like what's like, I threw it in my backpack a couple times and brought it home. And like after the kids went down, I just like set it up on my dining room table. I would never do that with like, Gaia Project or something. Like I wouldn't just bring this giant box home and set it up on my kitchen table and it would take 30 minutes just to set it up. Like, you could open the box and be playing in about 5-10 minutes and games only take 30 minutes or so. And so that's a scratch to itch, but it's not just a puzzle. There's a campaign and I can beat it and I can have a story that's ongoing. Like, and that kind of immersion and that, I can't wait to see what happens in the next campaign is really important to solo games because otherwise you're just sort of trying to beat your own score. And that's only interesting for, a handful of games.
So now do you want more solo games just out of necessity because life is tough? Or is it just because, for instance, you hate me?
It's because I have a specific thing where I like to take I write all day. And so the way that I cool my brain down is to play a game. And often I don't want to play a video game because I've just stared at a screen for 3 hours straight. And that's one of the reasons I got into board games. And so solo games are really good for that for me because I can't have somebody in my office with me or else I won't get any work done. But I'm very specific and maybe, probably not many people have that specific thing where they like to take turns in a solo game in between writing movies.
Wow. Well, if you had like your bestie living next door to you and you could,
it'd be a nightmare. It'd be I would get nothing done. I would be dead.
Well,
I would be destitute, single, and homeless.
But let's assume that you were just for theory's sake. Let's assume that you had you could keep your stuff together. But if you had a choice of playing a game with somebody or by yourself and everything else being even, what would you choose?
Be like 60-40, probably.
60-40, 60 for solo?
No, 60 with somebody else for it. Maybe 70-30. I really enjoy exploring a game by myself because I don't feel rushed to learn it. I can take my time. I can really learn it. It's sort of how I learn games. Even if it doesn't have a solo mode, I'll often play two-handed. Like if I get into Euro, just because I'm excited to play it, but B, it's like the best way for me to learn. So I really enjoy sort of like laying it all out and that whole ritual of it. But yeah, like I don't, the vast majority of games in my collection, I would much rather play with somebody else than by myself.
Look, you can play video games by yourself. You can play with other people online. You can, or in the same room with you. And board games, you can play some of them by yourself, and you can play them with groups. But I feel like video games lean towards the single experience.
Oh, for me, they're only single player at this point. Yeah.
and board games are a community event. I understand about like sometimes you don't have a choice, but
Yeah.
I all these things you're talking about, especially when it's like it has a cool story and like something really really impactful happens, but you can't share it with anybody. I don't know. How
Yeah,
does that?
but you also have to wait for like 2 weeks to get everyone back to the table, and maybe Jill doesn't show up, and Scott wants
Oh,
to play
Jill's the
something else,
worst.
and
Yeah.
like it's just like great. Well, it's so hard to coordinate. That's the hardest thing. It's just like and also
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't want to play the same game every week, and when I'm just playing by myself, I can play it when I feel like playing it, which to me is often a big thing. Here's one for me. Wait, did I ping it back to you? Did we just do solo? Is it
No,
your turn again?
no, go for it. I might be out.
I want team-based Euros, team-based heavy Euros. I feel okay. There's Cerebria, which I own and haven't played yet. Cerebria, which is a team-based game, 2 versus 2. It's supposed to be great. Concordia Venus. We tried the team player thing once. I don't think I'd ever care if I didn't play it again. But I love the team aspect. Like Codenames is so fun as a team thing. If somebody could give me the fun of that team experience, or even the team experience of Tichu, but in a 2 to 3 hour heavy Euro, I would love that. I think that'd be really fun. Like if I could, like, again, that's my thing. Like it'd be really fun to have like, oh, like Jesse and I, like you do not want to come at us in this game. Like we are a great team at this game. Like, but it's really, we're really working together. Like somehow we have strategies we've talked about beforehand. Like that to me sounds fun. I would love a solid team based heavy Euro.
Yeah, sure. That's good.
Does
What
not
what was
ignite.
that? What was that game we played? Arms something. It was 5 players, I think. And we're
What's it
different
about?
countries. We're breaking shipping lines, and it's like a World War II.
Oh, yeah, General. It's not
Yeah.
Armchair General. Oh, geez, I'll look it up. Hold on, it'll vamp for a second while I look it up. Yeah, General something. Um, Quartermaster General. Yeah, Quartermaster General.
Ah, I don't know where I got arms. Yeah. So is that hardcore enough for you?
Yeah, it's not really team. I mean, yeah, no, you're right.
It is
We are
teams.
teams. You're right. Axis versus allies. You're right. That is pretty good. That's a good version of it. You're right. You're
Yes.
right. I guess I was thinking like 2 versus 2. But yeah, that's a good one. 3 versus 3. You're right. I forgot about Quartermaster General.
Yeah.
Quartermaster General, and I haven't played the new version of it, which is apparently a better balanced version. All right, I got 2 more fast ones. See, I told you I did some work here. Story-based Euros with narrative arcs that don't require campaigns. Now, there's only one game I can think of that's doing this, but I'm so excited for it that I want other games to do it as well, because I think they're going to nail it. But Perseverance Castaway Chronicles, which is the new game from Mindclash Games, who makes kind of all my favorite games like Anachrony and Tricarion and Cerebria we just talked about. This is a Euro game with a 2-part campaign that is broken into 2 completely different games. The first part of the game is you are a group of people who have come to an island overrun with dinosaurs, and you have to take back the island. And then you put that back in the box and you pull out box number 2, which is a completely different game with similar mechanics, still more different than Brass Birmingham, Brass Lancashire, but in that ilk of like, if you kind of get the mechanics of one, you'll get the mechanics of another, but it's a totally new game. And now this one is you've conquered the island and now you have to create a civilization. And things that happen in the first one change what happens in the second. And every game is going to be different, and every game is going to feel like this sort of 2-part campaign that's going to have this cool narrative arc. It's going to be a different story every time, but it at its core is a heavy Euro. I think that's exciting. It's not going to take 20 sessions to get through a story. It's 2. Maybe you do them all in one night. I think it's supposed to be about 2 hours each, so you potentially could. But I really like that idea of a narrative heavy Euro that's got a slight campaign to it, wherein the ending of one game will affect the beginning of the next. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, like Jaws.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
not the heavy.
No, you're right. Jaws is a good example of like a very light, family friendly target version of that. But yeah, you're right. That is fun. And my last one is sort of like my ongoing, like, will anyone ever crack this kind of thing? And I don't know if anybody ever will, but we all know I love my 2-player LCGs. And it would be just awesome if somebody just once cracked the 2-player LCG in a box. Never need to buy another card, never need to buy another pack. Somehow there is enough meta in one box to keep a whole game going for years. It's probably impossible.
Well, it is impossible because that's not living.
Well, it wouldn't be. It's just such a great card game with enough, like, like if Game of Thrones, an entire season of Game of Thrones LCGs was in one box somehow, and they told you, I just like the idea that no cards will ever come out again, and it's about the creativity of deck building within one set of cards. Now, of course, I could do that with any LCG and just pretend the other cards don't exist. But I like the idea of a game not designed around continually innovating, but a game that is finished, never to be added to. This is the whole set of cards. Go crazy. I don't know. There's a game on Kickstarter right now. I think, the campaign just ended. It's called Radlands. It's kind of that attempt to do a 2-player in a box game. I know it's a thing lots of people have struggled to figure out. Magic the Gathering in a box is like a cliche, but yeah, I don't know. Whoever cracks it, you've got my money, and probably a lot of people's too. I think that's it. Those are sort of things that I got excited about in the few hours I had to think about this topic.
Hey, wait! Actually, you said Slay the Spire? Was that 2-player?
When did I say Slay the Spire?
Slay the Spire, the Kickstarter campaign. Didn't you say that was going on?
That is, I think it's a co-op. Yes, that is happening. I don't think they haven't announced it yet. It is as yet to be decided when it is coming. It is a cooperative deck building adventure for up to 4 players.
And you want it to be competitive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know me and those co-ops, not my jam. Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.